Chapter 3, Mishnah 2. The Mishnah continues to list cases like those of the small boat in the previous Mishnah, where a Zav and a Tower person can do certain things together. And there is the concern that the Zav leaned on the Tower person, making his close Tame as Midras. If they were closing or opening a door together, the Tower person's close become Tame as Midras. This is because two people opening or closing a door seldom do so with exactly the same force. Therefore, one ends up pushing or pulling the other. But the sages say the Tower person's clothes are tahor from Midras, unless this one is closing the door and that one is opening it. Only when they are pushing or pulling in opposite directions and resisting each other do we say that the Zav is leaning on or hanging from the tahor and is closed. A second case. If one of them is pulling the other one up from a pit, whether the Zav is pulling up the Tower person or the Tower person is pulling up the Zav, the Tower person's clothes become Tamei as Midras. But Rabbi Yehuda says the Tahor person's clothes are Tahor from Midras, unless the Tower person is pulling the Tamei person, the Zav, up from the pit. Only then is the Zav considered to be hanging from the Tower person. But if the Zav is pulling the Tower person from the pit, his clothes are not a Midras, because it is the Tower person who is hanging from the Zav, not the other way around. A third case of a Zav and a Tower person doing a physical activity together. If they were twisting ropes together, even if they were both twisting the same end of the rope, the clothes of the Tower person become Tamei as Midras, since it is likely that at some point the Zav hung from the Tower person and his clothes. But the sages say the Tower person's clothes are Tahor from Midras unless this one is pulling the rope this way and the other one is pulling the rope that way. That is, they are standing on opposite ends of the rope and twisting the rope from the middle toward the ends. Thus, they are tugging the rope in opposite directions. Only then do we say that the Zav is hanging from the Tower person and his clothes, making the clothes a Midras. Another case of the Zav and the Tower person doing physical activities together. If they were weaving fabric together, whether while standing or while sitting, or if they were grinding grain by pushing or pulling the millstone together, the Tower person's clothing become Tamei as with Midras, since it is likely that at some point the Zav hung from the Tower person and his clothes, as in the Mishnah's previous cases. But Rabbi Shimon rules that the Tower person's clothing remained Tahor from Midras in all these last cases, weaving while standing, weaving while sitting, except when they grind together with a hand-turned mill. In this final case of our Mishnah, the Zav transmits Tumah to the Tower person's clothes through leaning rather than through hanging. If they were unloading a load from a donkey together, or if they were loading it onto the donkey together. When their load is heavy, the Tower person's clothes, are Tamei as Midras, because it is likely that the Zav leaned on him while lifting or lowering the heavy load. But when their load is light, the Tower person's clothes remain Tahor, since lowering or lifting a light load does not cause one person to lean in against the other. The Mishnah, though, explains, however, all of them, i.e., even those loading or unloading a heavy load with the Zav, remain Tahor with regard to the common gathering of people. That is, even people who have accepted the pious practice to eat their chulin only when it is Tahor may consider the person and his clothes Tahor and eat chulin that he or his clothes have touched. And when the Mishnah said that his clothes are Tamei as Midras if their load was heavy, it meant that they are Tamei only with regard to eating or touching terumah, as a rabbinic stringency.